An idea is never given to you without being given the power to make it reality. Richard Bach. Dozing dragon. Glaciers are icy accumulations, mostly of atmospheric origin, that move downhill by gravity and obtain the features of a viscous plastic flow. Gigantic processes and phenomena of the several thousands of years' duration stand behind this simple encyclopedic interpretation. Aristotle wrote, "The Caucasus are the most attractive mountains, both by height and scale, among other ones located in the direction where the sun rises in summer." The grand summits of the Caucasus that range from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea have always been attracting and simultaneously scaring the people who dare to approach them. The wrathful Zeus chained the rebellious Prometheus to a solitary ice rock, precisely here. The Caucasus is the residence of the gods. The Tian Shan is known as the Blue Mountains, the Pamir the top of the world. The worthy brother, the Caucasus, is called the forehead of the world. The Caucasus is rich in the mountain-type glaciers. The local relief is formed by a variety of forces acting in the nature. Glaciers play the main role of an architect in these processes. This landscape has always been attracting travelers by its mystery. Now these glaciers carry the worth of usefulness. They are the deposits of ecologically pure waters, and as resources they need exploration and conservation. This is an extinct volcano of the mountain Kazbek. The last volcanic eruption occurred 28 centuries ago. The local population calls the summit Invatsveli, or the top of the glacier in English, Bride of Hell. Apart from its symbolic and historical meaning, the mountain has a great scientific, sporty and recreational importance. The large cone-shaped summit is covered by icy cap of 10 square kilometers. Several glaciers creep down from its center. The biggest one among them is the glacier Gergeti. The length of it is 7 kilometers. Gergeti spreads from the 5,000-meter height summit down to 2,900 meters above sea level. This glacier lies like a dragon within the heavy, disjointed gorge and forms rather complicated network of cracks in places where it makes turn in its way through. The long-term scientific studies have revealed significant changes in the network. The main goal of the Glacier's speleological expedition was to study these problems. The members of the expedition were the glaciologists, mountaineers and speleologists. Professional rescuers joined the team as well. Activities of the above explorers are well known in Georgia as well as abroad. Nevertheless, they had no experience of conducting this kind of researches. The expedition had two main goals. First, descent into the deep fractures. Second, determining morphological and qualitative properties of fractures and under-ice cavities. The only peculiarity of the expedition is that this was the first attempt of the Georgian explorers, and they were anticipating interesting progress of events. Here in the severe kingdom of Invatsveli you can find the only oasis. This is the meteorological station at the height of 3,700 meters above the sea level. For 70 years already, it has been the desirable shelter for all travelers, winners and losers, lucky and disappointed ones. This really unique building was built at this altitude in the beginning of the recent century by bare hands. Today, the meteorological station hosts the Georgian Glacier speleological expedition. The first day of the expedition was used for prospecting reasons. The aim of the working group was to find interesting fractured areas for descending, to measure the fractures and to install benchmarks in order to determine intensity of movement of the icy massive. The glacier was found to be a very large-scale formation. Exploration of an area took all the day. Unusual nervousness and acclimatization syndrome had their effect on the explorers. Observational work was continued on the second day. The gigantic glacier faults were discovered in the upper parts as well. Deep abysses have been formed as a result of the thick ice plating. The scale of the work, on the one hand, has encouraged the explorers, but from the other hand has made them to ponder how to act. The first exploration descent was accomplished just the same. This is the beginning of Georgian glacier speleology. The first detachment of the group should work in that fracture. You have been working at it and you should make its investigation. You and Gocha are going to the direction of the fracture and observe it over. Fracture, I'm a base. I suppose we can get through. Base, answer, base. How are you doing? How are you? We already went out of the fracture and now we're monitoring a place we're going to investigate tomorrow. Shortly speaking, it seems there is the center of this icefall, as well as the entrances of the fractures up there are wider. Consequently, it becomes as narrow as lower you go. Near here on this part, all the places of the ice radial split there are fractures with the narrow entrances, and here we have more chances to find cavities with a plate bottom and wide fractures. But Gocha, evidently the ice fell from the place of icefall and stuck into it, and also a dangerous higher there. Yes, it is more dangerous, and these blocks have to sit into each other. Success of an expedition generally depends on the planning strategy of the work. According to the statistics, the reason of failing expedition mostly are wrong planned strategy, and that is well known for the members of this expedition. For better security, they are discussing all the objective circumstances. The period of acclimatization has gone already. Now the explorers feel birth and energy. Contrary to the nature's rules established in the mountains, next day is a sufficient day for exploration. Just this was the critical day, and important changes have happened in the expedition. Practice revealed that for moving into the fractures, group experience in alpinism and speleology together are required. Work done into the ice cavities is related to the cold and high humidity. The altitude creates additional difficulties. These fractures are extended from 3,500 meters to 4,500 meters above sea level. Here the men are in extreme conditions. The mental strain accompanies physical work. From the other side rises psychological stress, subconscious dread of quick close or falling down of the fractures. And here is the first record, 13 meters. It seems as it is not a significant depth, but taking into account the fact that the mountain fracture average depth is 20-30 meters and rarely exceeds 50 meters, covering of this fracture fault could be considered as a good result. But also some exceptions exist, and the next day will be dedicated particularly to overcoming of them. Gergeti Glacier, similar to the other ones, complies with all the existing regularities. 2 million years ago, immense volcanic eruption gave appropriate conditions for its conceiving and growth, which was followed by the formation of a huge volcanic cone. Its absolute altitude, moderate slope and accumulated snow during the whole year created large ice plateau. And exactly this gave the beginning to the Gergeti Glacier. The glacier has a form of a dragon and looks like a live organism which moves similar to this tiny dripping spring. Only scales of the glacier is much wider but shorter in time. Film field of Maeli constantly feeds Gergeti Glacier by new masses that are regularly lost at the end of icy tongue from a speedy ice melting process. The global warming process characteristic of this century causes decrease of the glaciers. Look, this is tongue of Gergeti Glacier. Comparing its recent position with the position in 1974, you can see that it had moved approximately 200-300 meters back. This fact confirms the global warming process in our planet. Nowadays, all the changes of the glacier's tongues are fixed from the point. Taking into account the fact that forward-moving speed is some dozens of centimeters per day, it is becoming difficult to guess a reason of its reduction, though it has very simple explanation. Ice melts in the low altitude and its melting speed is higher than its forward movement. When the ice speed exceeds its melting speed, an ice grows. Nowadays this process is contrary. The glacier is decreasing rapidly. Not more than 5 years ago it was at this rock, and the glacier makes these stretches. The glacier is in constant struggle with its underlay rocky surface. Ice during its movement grinned and destroyed the layers. Its gorge is created by this destruction. At some places, outlets of strong layers create steps on the bottom, and the glacier, following over them, is fractured. The fractures always emerge at the same place, but newly formed masses are always involved in this process. Simultaneously with the ice movement process, fractures diminish gradually and close up, although at the same place with a new ice. In case of Gergeti, periodicity of the above process equals 8-10 days. At the critical moment, changes or fractures are followed by destruction of the huge icy blocks that makes the descents into the glacier a little bit dangerous. Every descent needs selection of the place and time. With this exploration, quite a big information was gathered and totally put on the map. This was very helpful for explorers to reveal the fracture systems. Gergeti Glacier has significantly changed, and this is evident here. That's enough to say that this rocky massif 2 or 3 years ago had been covered by glaciers, but now they are naked, and only hanged glaciers remain on the slopes. The central glacier is naked also. Here we can see some of the fractures formed in the last 10 years. That was caused by reducing the strength of the glacier, and that's why it splits easier. Results of the researchers confirm the reduction and destruction of the glacier. On the background of the unexpected and fast development of the events, each member often distracts from the work and enters into the strange, unexplained and unreachable world. It happens very often in the mountains. Being near the heaven forces human being, despite of its physical discomfort, feels himself in a complete harmony with nature and absolutely pleased. Enthusiastic explorers are waking up from non-daily dreams by radio communication. It reminds them that they are somebody's children, spouses and parents. Base. How do you hear me? Go ahead. We have a really bad weather here, Eziko. Observation and exploration revealed some areas with rather deep fractures. This day wasn't productive. Weather is becoming worse. This is habitual for the Mhinwatsweri. Lives of few people sacrificed to this nature of the mountain. Grandiose pace, strong wind, cold and mist on the way forced the researchers to go back. Soon the fractures will be covered by a snowstorm and only the magic will help us to find the trail to the camp. The following day was excellent. Weather did favor to the explorers, and good spirit raised among them. It can happen that a glacier doesn't move, but as soon as you enter the one, it starts going. It's warm, very warm. If you wait a little bit, it would be possible to enter in the evening or early in the morning. Now it's rather warm and dangerous. These damned ones are growing, I think. They haven't seemed so large. New fractures have appeared. Look, there in that line that we passed the day before yesterday are new fractures. The fracture seems very deep and dangerous. In one moment explorers wanted to turn off, but expectation of record increased their fear of purpose. By the objective reasons, glaciospeleology is not yet authorized in Georgia. Today this group is in the process of researching and their members are the pioneers of this work. The high proficiency, ability of precise calculation, sport intuition and, of course, the fortune became the pre-circumstances of our results. Every moment is hard and tension work. Every moment had to be thought, evaluated and controlled. Only a miserable fault and everything will fail. The freeze rope has created additional difficulties. The rope is freezed and slips. Be careful while descending. Pass me a rope.
Right.
Sophie, how are you? Perfect. It's very beautiful. We have passed 62 meters. Dozens of meters of the rope still continues deep in the narrow and dark well. Deeper descent is increasing the risks. Periodically it is heard the voice of destruction from the depth. It is obvious that threat of ice unexpected destruction and falling is caused by the high pressure of glaciers on this level. The depth of 62 meters is the climax of the expedition and at the same time the new record for the Georgian glaciology. It has no sense to descend deeper here and it is very dangerous, so it's better to leave this fracture and search above. It's damn sleepy. The rope is freezed. Be careful while ascending. The brown color corresponds to summer and white one to winter. Let's measure. Please have a careful look. Here we have 60 centimeters. 60, no, it's 58 centimeters between these layers. Next layer, let's carry here. Let's measure. 60 centimeters. No, 62 centimeters. Well-observed layers of the glacier give us possibility of making comparison analysis of the recent data and that of glaciology season 35, 40 years before. The Celsius showed sharp increase in temperature. It became the reason for immediate ceasing of our investigations. How is it, Rezo? Great. The expedition to the kingdom of the drowsing dragon is unforgettable for each member. All the experience and knowledge the explorers got here, faults and good results of the investigation will be discussed a long time after the expedition. The expedition is over. Thanks to God, the end of it was fortunate. Thus, the first steps in the history of Georgian glaciology have been done. Today all the adventures are in the past. The trail to home is awaiting us, a trail which once again forces each of us to penetrate deep into our souls, which once again will force us to climb the summits. Scenario Georgi Gotsiridze, film producer, cameraman, editor Reva Shalibashvili.